My sister up in Seattle, she calls up and goes, Rick, I understand you're playing with Bob Hope. And I go, no, I'm playing in the Bob Hope, which is very cool.
When Home Improvement ended, Richard Karn took a strange path. The man who played reliable Al Borland became a game show host. Then he showed up in a wild R-rated comedy. Later, he judged a soap opera trial. By 2019, he was on Pen 15, playing a dad in a show about awkward teens. Just when fans thought they knew him, Karn surprised them again. His path after Home Improvement was anything but ordinary. Richard Karn was born in Seattle on February 17, 1956. His dad, Gene, had been a Navy Seabee in World War II before becoming a contractor. His mom, Louise, was a painter. Together, they raised Richard and his sister Sue in a house full of tools, art, and Husky football. That mix of hands-on skills and creativity shaped Richard in ways no one could have guessed. Years later, it would all make sense, especially when he became Al Borland, the friendly handyman on Home Improvement. Richard's love for acting started in 5th grade. He stepped on stage for the first time, and something clicked. He kept performing all through the 60s while also playing football. In high school, he became a starting wide receiver. That balance, sports and drama, followed him into the early 70s. At Roosevelt High, his talent started to stand out. He had a deep, gravelly voice and a presence that his drama teachers noticed right away. He acted in school plays and even played Henry Higgins in My Fair Lady. Football was fun, but acting felt like purpose. He later joked that college-level sports were a couple of steps above my pay grade. After high school, he got into the University of Washington. During his first year, he got the chance to go to Scotland for 6 months. It wasn't a vacation, it was work. He trained at the Edinburgh Festival, the biggest arts festival in Europe. He learned new styles, acted with students from around the world, and absorbed everything from Shakespeare to experimental theater. When he came back, he set his sights higher. The next year, he applied to the school's professional actor training program. There were 200 applicants. Only 12 got in. He made the cut. From then on, it was serious. He acted in over 15 plays during university, joined the Beta Theta Pi fraternity, and kept his GPA at 3.4. He played Henry Higgins again and mastered both classic and modern roles. By the time he graduated in 1979, he wasn't just dreaming about acting. He was ready to live it. Right after graduation, he moved to New York City. Within 1 week, just one, he landed a Michelob beer commercial that aired during the Super Bowl. That ad paid him $45,000. It was more than just money. It gave him exposure during the most watched event on TV. That kind of luck doesn't happen to most actors. But for Richard, it was a sign he was on the right track. Then came a small but strange problem. When he tried to join the Screen Actors Guild, they told him the name Richard Wilson was already taken. He had to choose a new professional name. So he picked Karn, his middle name. Richard Karn was born again, this time on paper, and it stuck. Nobody outside his family would ever call him Wilson again. Even with the Super Bowl commercial and a new name, success didn't come easy. From 1980 to 1989, Richard worked in theaters all over the country. He acted in at least 25 plays. Sometimes he got paid, sometimes not much. On Broadway, he played a literal suit of armor in Me and My Girl. Off-Broadway, he had better luck, landing bigger roles and earning respect in the theater world. Richard Karn and Tootie Roche's love story didn't start with fame or red carpets. It started quietly, in 1985, 6 years before the world ever knew him as Al Borland from Home Improvement. Tootie wasn't just his wife, she was an actress and singer with her own path. She was born on July 19, 1955, in San Angelo, Texas. And it was her idea, in 1989, that changed everything. She told Richard they should move to Los Angeles. She believed he had what it took. He trusted her. They packed their bags and took the risk. The beginning wasn't easy. They had no money, no jobs, and no guarantees. Richard took whatever work he could find. He managed an apartment building just to have a place to live. He also catered events at a local synagogue to pay the bills. He had trained as an actor at the University of Washington. He had performed at the Edinburgh Festival in Scotland. And yet, here he was, juggling odd jobs, hoping for a break. Years earlier, he'd gotten lucky once in New York, landing a Michelob beer commercial during his first week. It aired during Super Bowl 14. But that was long gone. By 1990, they were still struggling. Then came the moment no one could have predicted. In 1991, Richard ran a stop sign in Los Angeles. A traffic cop pulled him over and handed him a ticket. As punishment, he had to attend traffic school. He sat down in class, frustrated. But right next to him was a Hollywood agent. They started talking. The agent mentioned a new TV show. It was going to star a stand-up comic named Tim Allen. The show was called Home Improvement. The agent told Richard he should audition. That traffic violation became the turning point. Richard auditioned. He didn't think much would come of it. The role of Al Borland had already been cast. Stephen Tobolowsky was the original choice. But Tobolowsky had other commitments. He couldn't make the pilot shoot. The producers needed a backup. Richard got the call. He stepped in for just one episode. But something happened on set. His chemistry with Tim Allen was too good to ignore. The producers noticed. The network noticed. And when ABC picked up the show, they decided to keep Richard instead of bringing Stephen back. Just like that, Richard became Al Borland. He was only supposed to do 6 episodes at first. That was the plan. But fans loved him. His calm, reliable character was the perfect match for Tim Allen's chaos. Richard made the role his own. He brought humor, warmth, and subtle brilliance to every scene. Tim Allen later said Richard was one of the funniest and smartest guys he ever worked with. The producers agreed. They tore up the short-term plan and made him a permanent cast member. Richard Karn didn't try to become what casting directors imagined. Instead, he turned the role into something real, something closer to himself. He gave Al a calm, grounded presence that balanced Tim Allen's chaos. It wasn't instant magic. In the early episodes, Al was still finding his voice, but Karn kept building the character little by little. By episode 12, Al's tired sigh, usually aimed at Tim's latest disaster, had become a crowd favorite. The writers even started adding moments just so Karn could do it. Fans loved it. By the middle of 1992, letters poured in from people saying they saw themselves in Al. He was kind, smart, and always in control, even when people teased him about his beard, weight, or his mother. Then came the flannel. Al's plaid shirts became part of TV history. Viewers didn't just notice the shirts, they remembered them. What they didn't know was that Karn picked more than 75 different flannel patterns over the years. He even kept a personal catalog so he wouldn't repeat one too often. The costume team struggled to keep up. By season 3, they had deals with 3 manufacturers making custom flannel just for Al. And during Christmas 1994, a special line called Al's Plaids sold out at J.C. Penney. The shirts were more than fabric. They were a symbol. Karn insisted they be made of real, thick cotton, even if it meant sweating under hot lights. He stuck to his principles. That's also why he kept the beard perfectly shaped. It took 20 minutes every morning, but it helped show that Al was the kind of guy who took care of the little things. Off-screen, Karn wasn't living a flashy Hollywood life. While millions watched him fix things on Tool Time, he was also fixing toilets in real life. During the first season, from September 1991 to May 1992, Karn managed a 32-unit apartment building in LA. He'd wake up at 6 a.m. to deal with maintenance requests, then head to the studio by 9. Some tenants didn't even realize their building manager was becoming a TV star. He once left set during lunch to handle a plumbing issue, and came back in uniform. The writers loved the story so much, they turned it into an episode. Even while filming, Karn would juggle scripts and rental forms in his dressing room. That real-life experience gave Al Borland an edge. Karn knew what a real repairman looked like. His gestures, his tools, the way he explained things, it all came from doing it himself. And while all this was happening, something even bigger was changing his world. His son, Cooper Karn Wilson, was born. Richard and his wife, Tootie Roach, had been married since 1985. But parenthood was new. Cooper came into their lives right as home improvement exploded in popularity. Karn showed up to work looking tired. Late-night feedings, diapers, and early call times don't mix well. The writers noticed and began writing Al with more warmth, more subtle exhaustion, like a man who knew what it meant to care for someone small. Karn had a photo album in his dressing room, always updated with pictures of Cooper. 17 times during season 2, the baby visited the set. Tim Allen even joked that Tool Time should hire him as a junior assistant. Outside the studio, Richard was busy too. In 1993, he started the Richard Karn Star Days, a celebrity golf tournament in Seattle. At first, it was just a small one-day event with 12 stars. But by 1996, it turned into a 3-day party. Golf, autographs, auctions, and dinners. It ran until 1999 and raised over $4.2 million for children's hospitals. Each year, around 30 to 40 celebrities showed up. Some were from home improvement, others were sports figures. It wasn't just about the money. It was about doing something real for people. And it worked. Back on set, Richard spent a lot of time with Pamela Anderson. She played Lisa, the original Tool girl. She was only 23 when the show began, and Richard, being the kind of guy he was, helped her settle in. They rehearsed together. He helped her with timing. On screen, her bright energy paired perfectly with his slow and steady style. She only stayed until 1993 before moving on to Baywatch. But her time on the show helped shape those early seasons, and Richard was a big part of that. Over 8 seasons, Al Borland changed. He wasn't just the guy in plaid anymore. He had a backstory. A mother who drove him crazy, awkward dates, bad luck in love. By 1996, episodes focused on Al were getting 2 to 3% more viewers than the rest. Fans loved him. In fact, his fan mail tripled between season 1 and season 5, so the writers gave him more. By season 8, Al co-owned Harry's Hardware with Tim. He wasn't just a sidekick anymore, he was a partner. And when the show ended in 1999, Al stood next to Tim for their final episode of Tool Time. That same year, Richard wrote a book. It was called House Broken: How I Remodeled My Home for Just Under 3 times the Original Bid. It came out in April, just as home improvement was wrapping up. The timing couldn't have been better. The book sold 75,000 copies right out of the gate. It even made the New York Times bestseller list for a little while. Inside, Richard shared stories about fixing up his real house, stories that sounded a lot like episodes from the show. There were 32 photos, Some chapters focused on working with contractors, just like the ones he and Tim hired on the show. The writing had his same dry humor. He didn't try to sound smarter than he was. He just told it how it happened. After the show wrapped, Karn started taking smaller roles. He popped up in movies like Legend of the Mummy in 1998 and MVP, Most Vertical Primate in 2001. He also guest starred on shows like That 70s Show and The Chronicle. It wasn't bad work, but it wasn't steady either. Karn had moved to Los Angeles back in 1989 because his wife Tootie believed in him. But by 2002, it seemed like Hollywood wasn't sure what to do with him anymore. Then something unexpected happened. A spot opened up on Family Feud. The producers needed a new host. Louis Anderson was out. They gave the job to Richard Karn. He wasn't a comedian like the hosts before him. He wasn't flashy, but he was warm, kind, easy to like. That mattered. He became only the fourth host in the show's history, after Richard Dawson, Ray Combs, and Louis Anderson. His version of the show felt different. He didn't always land the punchlines, and critics noticed, but he made families feel comfortable. Viewers trusted him. During his time on the show, about 4 million people watched every day. He kept Family Feud alive during a tough transition. That same year, Karn did something totally unexpected. On August 5th, 2002, he appeared in a music video by indie rock band The Strokes. The song was called Someday. In the video, The Strokes played Family Feud against another band, guided by voices. Karn played himself as the host. It was wild. The video even featured rock legends like Slash, Duff McKagan, and Matt Sorum from Guns N' Roses. This strange mix of rock music and daytime TV ended up working. Someday became a hit. It reached number 17 on the United States Modern Rock chart and number 27 in the UK. Later, Pitchfork ranked it number 53 on its list of the 200 best songs of the 2000s. In 2006, after 4 solid years, Karn stepped down as Family Feud host. The job went to John O'Hurley, who brought a slicker, more traditional game show vibe. Some critics said O'Hurley looked and sounded like he was built in a factory just to host TV shows. Karn's time was up, but he didn't disappear. Richard Karn's hosting career took a sharp turn on October 6, 2008. That's when he stepped in to replace Patrick Duffy as the host of Bingo America. The show was on Game Show Network, and it was entering its 2nd season. Duffy's style had been called flat. Some even said it felt like all his energy had been drained to power the bingo sphere. GSN tried to stay polite, saying Duffy was terrific, but made it clear Karn brought the energy they wanted. He came in loud, lively, and full of charm. A new co-host, Diane Mizzota, joined him. The bonus round got a full makeover, too. For a while, it looked like everything was working. But after 105 episodes, the show was suddenly canceled in 2009. What made it strange was that they had already held auditions for a 3rd season. Scripts were being written, but then came a shift in direction. GSN's president, David Goldhill, made some major changes. His decisions were unpopular, especially with game show fans. That change in thinking killed the show for good. Then came something nobody expected. In 2011, Richard Karn showed up in a movie called Pool Boy, drowning out the fury. It was the total opposite of everything he'd ever done. No family-friendly charm, no safe laughs. This was wild, weird comedy with an R rating. Karn played a character named Bill Witherspoon in a film that made fun of war movies and movie-making itself. The plot was insane. A guy returns from war to clean pools in California. The whole thing was a parody. Kevin Sorbo was in it. Danny Trejo, too. even a fake Hitler. The movie went straight to DVD on July 22, 2011. But it gained a cult following for being so over the top. For Karn, it was like saying, "I'm not just the safe guy from TV." He was in on the joke, and he leaned into it. 2 years later, in January 2013, Karn reunited with Tim Allen. It had been almost 14 years since Home Improvement ended. Now they were back together, this time on Last Man Standing. Karn played an architect named Bill McKendry. Allen played Mike Baxter. The timing was no accident. It aired during Sweep Sweep. Viewers were hit with a wave of nostalgia. On set, it got emotional. They hadn't just aged, they had grown. Karn had even hosted Family Feud for 4 years by then. The writers gave fans little winks. One moment, Karn's character corrected Allen mid-sentence. That alone brought back memories of Al Borland and Tim Taylor. The audience loved it. Then came a softer shift. Between 2014 and 2015, Richard Karn became a familiar face in Hallmark Christmas movies. In Christmas Land, 2015, he played Mason Richards, a businessman trying to buy a magical tree farm. The movie was classic Hallmark: snow, family, romance, and lots of lights. Karn was right at home. He played opposite Nikki DeLoach, with supporting roles by Luke McFarlane and Maureen McCormick. The film was shot mostly at Pioneer Village in Utah, and it did well. Hallmark pulls in over 80 million viewers during the holidays. Karn became part of that tradition. He also starred in A Perfect Christmas List in 2014 and returned again in 2019 for Check-In to Christmas. Both times, he played characters named Tim. In May 2017, Richard Karn surprised everyone by stepping into the world of soap operas. He appeared on The Bold and the Beautiful as Judge John Opplinger. It was only for 2 episodes, but the buzz was big. Fans of the show and fans of Home Improvement couldn't believe it. He played the judge in a case where Sally Spectra was accused of stealing dress designs. It sounded dramatic, and it was. Karn didn't just show up and read lines. He prepared. He actually followed a real judge in Los Angeles for 3 days to get the role right. He said the crime could get 15 years, maybe 5, or 3 with good behavior. He made it feel real. Producers liked him so much, they wanted him in 5 episodes. But schedules didn't work out, so he only did 2. Then came 2021. COVID had shut down a lot of things, but it also opened new doors. That's when Karn reunited with Tim Allen for Assembly Required on the History Channel. It wasn't fiction. It was a real competition show. People worked from home, building and fixing stuff. The whole thing was filmed under tight COVID rules. They didn't just pick random people. They held 137 remote auditions. The show brought back the old Allen Karn chemistry. Tim was still the loud guy, and Karn was still calm and smart. April Wilkerson joined them and gave it a modern touch. The show did well. People aged 35 to 49 especially liked it, probably because it reminded them of Tool Time. But Karn wasn't just a co-host. He was the executive producer too. This was the first time he had that kind of power. He helped pick the contestants. He worked on the design of the challenges. He even helped with how the show looked. He pushed for tool safety segments, just like his Al Borland character would have done. It wasn't easy. They had to ship the same tools to everyone, so things were fair. Filming during a pandemic was messy, but Karn kept things running. Even Tim Allen said Karn's planning held everything together, and they weren't done yet. In June 2022, they launched another show. This one was called More Power. It aired on the History Channel too. It was 10 episodes all about the history of tools. They shot it in Allen's own workshop and traveled to factories and workshops across the United States. Each episode focused on one kind of tool, from ancient times to now. It was a mix of fun and facts. April Wilkerson came back too. She did hands-on stuff. Tim was the energy. Karn gave the history. It worked. The first episode brought in 1.42 million viewers. That was the History Channel's best unscripted launch since 2019. Richard Karn was once known as the soft-spoken, plaid-wearing Al Borland on Home Improvement. But in 2019, something unexpected happened. He joined a strange and painfully funny show called PEN 15. He wasn't fixing sinks or giving tool advice. Instead, he played Fred Peters, a calm, aging musician who toured with a Steely Dan cover band. The twist? The show starred 2 adult women pretending to be 13-year-olds, surrounded by actual teenagers. Weird? Yes, but it worked. Karn appeared in 11 episodes from 2019 to 2021, and the show earned Emmy nominations, including one for Outstanding Comedy Series. For young Gen Z viewers, Karn was a fresh face. For millennials, it was like seeing an old friend walk into a brand new world. Somehow, he fit right in. Then came the pandemic. Hollywood slowed down, but Karn didn't. In 2020, he showed up in Horse Camp, a love tale. It was a family film where he played a quiet ranch hand too shy to confess his feelings. Teen campers tried to help him find the courage. A year later, he was in The Christmas Dance, which aired in December 2021. The movie only scored a 4.7 out of 10 on IMDb, but Karn brought heart to a story about grief, healing, and Christmas. His familiar presence made even modest movies feel warmer. Then, in November 2024, fans did a double take. Karn looked skinny, really skinny. At 68 years old, he had dropped 30 pounds. He didn't hide it. He told Fox News, "I went down to where my doctor was very, very happy. I almost felt like I looked too thin. People were shocked. This wasn't the same round-faced guy from the 90s. Karn said the weight gain began during his sitcom years when food was everywhere. But those days were long gone. Now, he and his wife, Tootie Roach, followed a strict plan. 4 ounces of meat, 4 ounces of vegetables, and barely any carbs. Every meal was measured. Every bite was intentional. By April 2025, Karn had eased off the extreme diet. He added a bit of weight back, just enough to feel comfortable again. He even joked about dessert. Don't have 5, just take 1 bite. He also took up Pilates. It wasn't just for looks. It made his hips stronger, which helped his golf swing. For Karn, this transformation was more than physical. It was about control, health, and finding a better version of himself. And just when people thought they'd seen it all, Karn made another unexpected move. On April 3rd, 2025, National DIY Day, he became the face of a new beer campaign. But not just any beer. Natural Light. He wasn't selling fancy craft brews. He was their craft ambassador, leaning hard into his Al Borland persona. The campaign offered a $10,000 prize to help someone turn their garage into a dream workshop. It was smart. It was nostalgic. It was funny. And it worked. In the first week alone, the campaign racked up more than 500,000 social media reactions. Executives admitted the idea came from research. Natty Light drinkers love DIY projects, so they gave them the perfect pitch man. A guy who once stood beside Tim Allen in a tool belt, now holding a beer in a garage, telling you to fix something and then kick back. It wasn't about changing who Karn was. It was about reminding people why they liked him in the first place, and showing them he still had something new to offer.